A young man sprints out of an airport. No luggage, no passport, no money. He runs into the woods beyond the runway and is never seen again. His name was Lars Mittank, and this is the last known footage of him alive. What made him run? And more chillingly, who or what was he running from? Lars was 28 years old, an engineer from northern Germany. A quiet, good-natured guy, devoted to his family, especially his mother, Sandra. He loved football, weekends with friends, and had never been in any kind of trouble. In July 2014, Lars joined a group of friends for a week-long trip to the Bulgarian coast, a popular summer getaway known for its beaches, nightlife, and cheap beer. It was supposed to be a carefree break before heading back to work. But for Lars Mittank, it would be the last trip he ever took. The group flew to Varna, a coastal city on the Black Sea, and checked into the Golden Sands resort. For the first few days, everything seemed normal. Lars was laughing, relaxing, sending messages home to his mother. But on July 6th, something changed. Lars got into a fight, reportedly over football. Witnesses said it began with a disagreement about the German teams, Bayern Munich and Werder Bremen, Lars' favourite team. The argument escalated, and Lars was allegedly attacked by a group of men, possibly locals, or even another group of German tourists. He was punched in the head and jaw and later complained of ear pain. Lars visited a local doctor who diagnosed him with a ruptured eardrum. He was prescribed cefprozil, a strong antibiotic, and told not to fly until his ear healed. When his friend's return flight came around, Lars insisted they go without him. He said he'd stay one extra night, rest, and take a flight home the next day. They were reluctant, but Lars seemed calm, so they said their goodbyes. It was the last time they ever saw him. That evening, Lars checked into a cheap hotel near Varna Airport. The receptionist later recalled that Lars seemed nervous. He paced the lobby, whispered that he didn't feel safe, and claimed men were following him. He even texted his mother saying, "I'm not safe, please cancel my credit cards." Sandra Mittank tried to reassure him. She offered to book him a new flight and told him to stay calm. But Lars insisted something was wrong. He believed 4 men were following him, possibly the same men from the earlier fight. The next morning, hotel staff said Lars left his room in a panic. He told the receptionist he was going to see a doctor at the airport. At the airport, Lars met with the doctor on duty. The doctor later reported that he appeared anxious and disorientated. A construction worker entered the clinic briefly, and in that instant, Lars froze. He whispered, "I don't want to die here." Then, without warning, he bolted. He ran full speed through the terminal, out the main doors, climbed the airport fence, and vanished into the tall grass and the woods behind the perimeter. He left behind his luggage, his documents, his money, everything that could help him survive. But where could Lars have possibly gone? If we look at the area surrounding the airport, it's clear. There's nothing but open fields and sparse woodland. The dense forests are miles away. To reach them, Lars would have had to cross wide stretches of farmland and even a busy motorway. There are houses, roads, and businesses nearby, and yet not a single witness ever came forward to say they saw a man in a bright yellow t-shirt, not running, not walking, not even wandering in confusion. Could he have flagged down a passing car? And if so, why hasn't anyone come forward? Or maybe, in a state of panic, he hid somewhere close by, hoping the threat he believed was chasing him would simply pass. But if he did hide, where? Could it have been somewhere dangerous? An industrial bin? An abandoned building? A place no one thought to search? The fact no one saw him after he sprinted from the terminal might suggest he never got far at all. But this was broad daylight. How could he have remained hidden for so long, without food, without water, without anyone noticing? It's baffling. Authorities quickly launched a search of the surrounding area. Fields, ditches, nearby roads. Airport staff, local police and volunteers combed the open land in every direction from where Lars was last seen. But there was nothing. No footprints, no scraps of clothing, no sign of struggle, no trace that he'd ever left the area. In the following days, search dogs were deployed. Helicopters scanned from above, and local residents were questioned. Still, there was no sighting of Lars. Investigators considered every possibility. Had he fallen victim to a random crime? Was he robbed after fleeing into the countryside? Or had his paranoia been justified? Had someone really been following him? The terrain around the airport isn't ideal for vanishing. It's open, flat, and watched over by several businesses. If Lars had run across the field, someone should have seen him, yet no one did. That's what makes this case so strange. The trail ends exactly where it began, at Varna Airport. Days turned into weeks, and Lars's family arrived in Bulgaria desperate for answers. They retraced his final steps, spoke to police, and begged for help from the media. But every lead turned cold. CCTV from surrounding businesses were reviewed, but nothing. Highways and service stations were checked for sightings of a man hitchhiking. Again, nothing. It was as if Lars Mittank had simply disappeared into thin air. But what really happened that morning? Was Lars suffering from a mental breakdown triggered by the antibiotics and lack of sleep? Or was there truly someone or something after him? As the official search faded, theories began to swirl. Everyone wanted to know what made Lars run that day. The first and most widely discussed theory is a psychological break. Before the flight, the medication he took, some people have said they experienced severe side effects: anxiety, paranoia, and even hallucinations, especially when combined with dehydration, stress, and the lack of sleep. In the days leading up to his disappearance, Lars's friends recalled that he had been acting differently, nervous, jumpy, saying people were following him. At one point, he left his hotel because he believed men were planning to harm him. Could it be that Lars was experiencing an acute episode of paranoia, one that made him flee the airport in blind panic? It's possible, but there's a problem with that theory. Even in cases of temporary psychosis, the person is usually found later, confused, dehydrated, but alive. Lars never was. No one found a body. No one found his clothes or personal items. If he'd suffered a breakdown, surely he'd have resurfaced somewhere nearby once the effects wore off. So others believe something darker happened. What if Lars was really being followed? Before he vanished, he called his mother from his hotel and whispered, "They're coming for me." Who were they? Could he have stumbled onto something? Or crossed the wrong people in Bulgaria? But again, police found no evidence of anyone tailing him. No suspicious figures on CCTV. No reports of a struggle or abduction. Then there's a third theory, one that chills many people who study this case, that Lars may have hidden somewhere close to the airport, perhaps to escape a threat only he believed in, and accidentally died there. Maybe he sought shelter in an abandoned building, a storage container, or an industrial bin, and was never found. But that raises another question. How could extensive searches have missed him? Could the Bulgarian police have overlooked something? Were the searches thorough enough? No scent trails, no clothing, no bones ever recovered. It's as if he vanished from the face of the earth. And that brings us back to the mystery that's haunted his family for almost a decade. What really happened to Lars Mittank? Could he have managed to leave the country? Could he be living somewhere else, under a different name? Many questions are asked. No drugs were found in his luggage. There's no evidence he was being chased. Could this have been a case of a mind turning against itself? Or something, or someone else entirely? All these years later, the case of Lars Mittank remains one of Europe's most haunting disappearances. He was 28 years old, loved by his family, with everything to look forward to. One moment he was preparing to fly home, the next he was gone, leaving behind a mystery that still has no answers. To this day, no trace of Lars Mittank has ever been found. His mother, Sandra, still believes her son might be out there somewhere, confused, alone, or perhaps unable to return. Every year she shares his photo online, hoping that someone, somewhere, has seen him. It's one of those cases that stays with you long after you hear it. Because Lars wasn't a criminal, or a thrill seeker, or someone living on the edge. He was an ordinary young man. He went on holiday and never came home. And that's what makes this story so haunting. He ran from the airport that day in clear daylight, in front of witnesses and security cameras. And yet somehow, from that moment on, he ceased to exist. Was he lost in the fields surrounding the airport? Did he take refuge somewhere no one thought to look? Or is there a truth far more sinister than anyone had dared to imagine? Until answers are found, Lars's disappearance remains a mystery. A story that reminds us just how fragile the line is between ordinary life and the unexplainable. Because somewhere out there, a mother is still waiting for her son to come home.